Hello everybody, my name is Sean Cleaver, although you probably know me best as Cleaver Slips, and I have been asked a question. Does driving in VR make you quicker? Of course, my initial answer to this question was yes, it does make you quicker because you can see more of around you. And there was promotional material with Gran Turismo Sport, for example, that showed Martin Brundle and his son Alex Brundle showing people playing normally in Gran Turismo Sport and in VR, and they were indeed quicker. But I was asked, does it make you quicker? Do you have any times to prove it? No, I thought, I don't. And therefore begins this little experiment. Does racing in VR make you quicker? So, here's the deal. We're playing two games that are on PSVR. This is Gran Turismo Sport, and we're going to be doing the seaside original circuit of the Dragon Coast, or Dragon Tail. And we are going to be doing it in the Mercedes-Benz AMG GT3 car. Now, we'll be doing this because it's available in both VR and, of course, that is the car as well. And we'll be doing this in the in-cockpit view as well. Now, the way this works is I'll be doing this in the time trial in Gran Turismo Sport and, of course, in the VR race mode in Gran Turismo Sport. Now, that mode is a 1v1 versus the AI, so I'll be taking the second lap from that race, and, of course, I'll be taking the quickest lap that I do on a run. I'm not doing loads upon loads upon loads of laps to try and get my quickest time because I can't do it in VR, so I thought that would be a bit unfair. So, here we are. We're doing our first run. Now, this first run I'm showing you, but it is going to be void, and the reason it's going to be void is because I selected the time to be 10 AM. Now, I can't do that in VR. I can only do it at Cloudy at 1 PM. So we will be doing the second run, but I just wanted to show you what the view was like for this, and to show you what I did before I went into VR first. So, as you can see, I'm racing all right. I'm seeing the lines. I'm probably not hitting the hitting the apexes as much as possible. And coming up to this chicane section, which is going to be a very important section in this video, I let off the gas a little there when I didn't need to, and I braked hard and went through there also when I didn't need to, and still clipped the wall. Now, while we're going through this, there are two games we are going to be playing. Gran Turismo Sport is the first, Dirt Rally is the second, and that is because both games are the same game and their VR components are VR modes of that game built within it, which means we're not going to be using Drive Club because this is not a representative of both of those games. So there's our first time, 1:42.546. Now here we are in VR, same track, same car, same view, and we're going to see what we can do. Now, already, compared to the lap that you've already seen, I am carrying more speed and I'm smoother into the corners and the apexes. Not because I'm slower, but because I'm identifying where the line is quicker. That is what I'm noticing from me playing it and commentating over this at the end. What I mean by that is because I'm in VR and because I'm using my eyes, you might not see my head turn so much, but my eyes are looking, and of course when you've got the lens you've got this stereoscopic vision so you can see everything around you. I'm looking a lot deeper into the corners and I'm looking for where that apex is and beginning my turn earlier. As you can see there, I had to move my head up because my arm as I was turning was over my eye line, and I had to peek up to see where the curb was when I was exiting that corner. So there, as you can see, and this is something I'm going to point out in the Dirt Rally part of this video as well, you can see a lot more of your car. Here is the chicane section. Now, I let off a lot of speed there, and that's going to be another component I'll talk about secondly. But one of the things that I'd notice is that turning to the right is quicker in VR than it is outside of VR. And the reason being for that is because you can see more in VR compared to what you can see in the normal cockpit view. We're about to go back to the cockpit view for our second run, so I'll show you what I mean. In this run, 1:42.110, so that was just over 4/10 of a second quicker. But I needed to be fair, so we're going to do this at the same time as the VR version. Now, already you can see, I can see all of the track, of course, but about 30% of the car is missing from my view, and that's on the right hand side because this is a left hand drive car. If it was a right hand drive car, it would be the left hand side. You can't see where you're putting your car when you're turning to the right. So there, in that corner, I'm carrying a lot of speed, but I'm not hitting the curb. Now, if you looked at the previous video in the VR and in the next one, I hit that curb because I can see where it is, and I am more comfortable when turning, committing into that corner. Now, here's a thing. With this particular run, I earn a penalty. And I slowed down for that penalty. It's a 0.65 second penalty. It's a bit silly. But I do let off the gas a little bit and I sort of coast through this corner. So that cost me probably 0.3 of a second. But going into this, I have a lot more speed, and that's another thing that makes this a rather difficult subject to judge, because one of the things that I am getting both by playing in VR and this multiple times is track familiarity and comfort of where I am. So the more I do a course, the quicker I will eventually get at it, because I'm more familiar and I will be more comfortable at taking chances. So this run, 141.988, was quicker than the VR run by 0.2 of a second. Now, I want to prove my point that I think VR is quicker. So I had to go at it again, didn't I? Because that would have completely proven me wrong. So here we go again. Now, I hit the curb there because I can see where the right hand side is. Now, I'm much more comfortable about where my car position is because I can move my head to find out where it is. That doesn't mean you can't do that outside of VR, but it means you can identify your turning points a lot earlier. You can hit those apexes a lot cleaner. And one of the things, of course, is it quicker to drive in VR? It is, because you yourself are becoming a better driver within VR because you're more immersed in it, and that is just one of the natural things of VR and why it's such a good fit for racing games. Now, when you are driving in VR, you may get a bit of motion sickness, but one of the things that you'll do, and you'll notice this if you drive anyway, is you don't actually look at static things and see everything blur past you, as you can see. We're entering the chicane section again. Much more speed. Much more bravery through that corner, because I could tell where the wall was. And that is the other thing, you end up being a lot more braver because you take faster lines. But one of the things that you do when you are driving is you always look ahead, and that's what you're doing when you're in VR, especially in the driving game, is you're constantly looking forward and looking ahead and focusing on different points. So, how did we do in the end of this one? We did 140.381, and if you want to know what that is 1.607 seconds quicker in VR. So for me, that's irrefutable proof that virtual reality is quicker for this. Now, to our next game, of course, Dirt Rally. And there is one problem with Dirt Rally, both with the normal and the VR mode. You have to get a clean run.
100, 100, turn hairpin left, don't cut. 150 cut. Left 4, 80. Crest 80. Right 6 dip. Left 6. Turn hairpin left, don't cut. 150 through dip. 80.
So what you're about to see is the cleanest runs that I could do in Dirt Rally. Now, both of these runs have faults, and this is why it's not exactly scientific. I don't believe these faults really equated to the amount of time difference that you're going to see in this. But here is the thing. As I was saying, that in the previous game, you eliminate 30% of your right-hand side view because you can't see. Now, I can't see the apex of that corner. that corner is gone, and again, it's no longer there. In this game, compared to Gran Turismo Sport, because of the camera view, it is a much sharper. You're probably losing 40% of your view of that right-hand side that you would normally have, and you're getting quite a lot on the left, as you can tell, because again, left-hand drive cars, so you can always tell where you're putting your left-hand side. And until you actually hit something, like the curb or some kind of thing, I was a little bit tentative coming up to where this hairpin was because I knew it was close. And of course, that little section I think probably did cost me 2 seconds on my overall time. So just bear all this in mind. But you do lose a certain amount of what you can see, and that does dictate what you can do in the car. So in some ways, this is a much better graphical fidelity than the virtual reality mode that there is on this game, same as Gran Turismo Sport. And of course, you've got a much better sense of speed. But the immersiveness that you get in the VR mode, even in this game, is going to benefit you. I mean, there is also, as well, like we have in Gran Turismo Sport, a little bit of track familiarity that is going to play here, because this is Dirt Rally. These are all static things, and as I go through this stage and I gain more confidence, you'll see that I'm doing a lot better, and I make up for quite a lot of the lost time that I made. Another thing is with this game is that you do have a potential element of motion sickness, because you are bumping around a lot more. In virtual reality, of course, this is in the normal view, so you don't really get that yet. But another factor of this, even though we both use the same car for both VR and the normal version, is it is very flighty. This car jumps about quite a lot, and it's a little bit of a handful when you're trying to pelt the thing at speed. Just so you know, this is the same course for both of them. This is on the Clubman difficulty, so because I didn't want to have anything to do with the AI issues, I just wanted to have a run. Now that corner there, we're going to come back to it in VR. I couldn't see where to brake because we're going up a hill. Now that's just a hazard. However, in virtual reality, what you're going to find is that I'm able to identify a braking point for that much earlier, and therefore carry more speed into the corner and out of the corner because of it. So here we go. There's our time for this run, 3 minutes 09.575, which probably could have been, if we're honest, if I was a little bit tidier, 3:06, maybe 3:05. A couple of seconds here and there, certainly. So here we are in virtual reality. As you can see, you can move your head a lot more, and you get a lot more confidence going into those corners. It's a lot quicker. And as my head moves, you're able to see less of the left-hand side of the car and more of the right. I can see that apex the entire time. I know where I'm turning, which you can't do in the fixed cockpit view. So already I'm able to be more confident in my driving and carry more speed into these corners because I know where I'm positioning my car. And I think that is the main thing of virtual reality, is that you spend much more time doing what you would normally and naturally do as a driver, and that is looking around. So there we go, we managed to do this section a lot better than we did the last one. And part of that is familiarity of what I'm doing, and part of it really is due to the fact that I'm in virtual reality and I can see a lot more going on. I truly believe that. That was just a bad mistake from me right there. And that's one of the reasons why this run is so much quicker than the previous one. Because I can see a lot more. I'm much more confident about where I am placing my car and what that is doing. And as you can see there, I'm looking to the right. If that was in the normal view, I'd have missed all of those stones in my view. I might well have hit them because I didn't know they were there. That cost me about a couple of tenths of a second. As does this, which is the main point where I actually did get motion sickness, because I went in reverse, and of course when you're going forward you can convince yourself you're going forward, but when you're going backwards your body should feel like it is having some kind of like gravitational pull against you, and it's not happening there. So that's the only time really that I did get motion sickness during this. And the quality isn't that bad. Of course, just as a blanket disclaimer, when it comes to virtual reality, this is captured from a PlayStation 4, normal PlayStation 4, with an Elgato HD60. So this is getting the best frame rate, but the resolution that you're seeing captured for the PlayStation VR footage is a lower resolution than what I am actually seeing in the headset. So here is this hill. So there we go. I've dropped a gear because I was hesitant, so I kept some speed going in, but I could see where the corner was going to crest over and flatten out. So I could tell where I needed to brake, where I needed to turn, and when I needed to do things. It was very, very easy. Now here, I was a little bit too cautious and went over a bit. But there we go. This run, so much quicker. And we're going to hit 3 minutes, 2 seconds, 0.942. That is a full 7 seconds. Well, 6.5 seconds quicker. So there you have it. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed, let me know. And if you want to talk about this, find me on Twitter @CleaverSlips.